Hello students, welcome once more to online video class for ICSE class 10 computer applications. In today's video we are going to study about features of return statement, kinds of variables in Java, and invoking a function or calling a function, how to use instance function and how to use static function. So starting with our topic, features of return statement. In the last video I had explained what is return statement and where we use return statement. Let me tell you once more. A function can be designed return type or non-return type. When the function returns the outcome to another method, then the return type of function is mentioned other than void. So other than void we have many options like all the primitive types and string. Out of 7 data types, byte, short, int, long, float, double, char, boolean and string, we can write any data type instead of void as a return type. When a function is designed to return the outcome or result to the caller, but if the function does not return any value, in that case the return type of the function is mentioned as void. So features of return statement: it is applied at the end of a method from where it terminates. Always return statement is used in the end of the method block because after executing the return statement, the function terminates. So we don't write any statement after return statement because that statement will become unreachable. So second point here, no statement in the method can be executed after return statement. Same thing I have told just now. It can return a single value from a method to its caller. So while using the return statement, we should return a single value only. Otherwise it will give error. So first 3 points I will explain with one program. Then I will cover the remaining points. A class is designed here. Name of the class is R. One function we have big here. Return type of the function is double. This function receives two arguments, double x, double y. Now, variable r is declared in the body of the function. If else if is used to return if x is greater than y, then return x. Else if y greater than x, then return y. Else return 0. So we have used three return statements here. This function big is designed to find the larger of two numbers x and y. And it is designed return type. We are not going to print the value of the larger number, we are going to return the value of larger number. So if x is more than y, it means x is larger, in that case function will return x. Else if y is more than x, it means y is larger, in that case it will return y. Return statement can be written in two ways. After return keyword we can have space and value, like we have written return y, or after return keyword, after space we can keep the value inside a bracket also, like here return x is used. Space is not compulsory, you can leave the space also, then also it will work. So if x is more than y, then x will be returned. If y is more than x, then y will be returned. It can also happen that both x and y are same. In that case first two ifs will become cancelled, then the last else will run, so return 0. So this function can return three values. There are three termination points here. Function can return x, y or 0 depending on the value of x and y. Now we have one more method designed here, main. In the main method, object of the class is created. ROB equal to new R. Then we are calling method big through the object OB. So OB dot big, first statement, compiler will search where is big. Big function can be before main or it can be after main in the same class. That is not an issue. Compiler will find out from the class. Now when this line will execute, then compiler will search big function. Now big is found here. Big function receives two arguments, double x, double y. So we need to pass two values. So we are passing two values here, 6 and 5. Copy of 6 will be received in x, copy of 5 will be received in y. Now this block will run. So when x is 6, y is 5, then first if will satisfy 6 more than 5, true. So it will return 6. And other ifs will become cancelled because it is designed with if else if ladder. So out of three return statements, it is designed in such a way that only one return statement will run at a time. We can design many return statement, but function will return only one return statement. This is the next point here. Let us explain the last point first. A function may have more than one termination points. Thus, a number of return statements may be included to terminate the method from a specific point. In case of multiple return statements implied in a method, only one of them can be activated to return the control. And the last point is, once control exits from a method, it cannot reappear into the method block for any further execution. So these last 3 points I will explain with this example. So we have seen the program First statement I had explained. This is the function call statement. We are calling function big and passing the value 6 and 5. So during function call statement, whatever values are passed, these values are known as actual parameters that I have mentioned in the comment. Now, the copy of 6 will be received in X, copy of 5 will be received in Y. So the variables which receive the value or accept the value are known as formal parameters. So here X and Y are formal parameters. So when 6 and 5 is passed, first if will satisfy 6 more than 5, so return value will be 6. Now when this statement will run, it will transfer the control or it will send the result to the caller. Means other return statements will not run because return statement behaves as function terminator. So 6 is the result. 6 will be returned, and where it will be received? It will be received in the same function where it is called. So whatever I have highlighted with yellow color, that will receive the return value, that is 6, and this 6 will be stored in variable a. That is why a is designed double type, because the function is returning a double value. So return type should be equivalent. Now the second statement, when we are passing 5 and 6 while calling the same function big, in this case X will store 5, that is copy of 5, Y will store copy of 6. So first, if 5 greater than 6 is not satisfying, it will go to else part. 6 greater than 5 is satisfying, so return Y. It means 6 will be returned. So this value will be sent from here and it will be received in the second statement here. Again, the larger of 5 and 6 is 6, which is returned by the function big. So B will store 6. Third statement, when we are passing same number 6 and 6, both arguments are same. X is also 6, Y is also 6, because they are receiving the copy of actual parameters. So in this case, first two ifs are cancelled, so the last else will run. So in this case, return value will be 0. So function will send 0 and this 0 will be received in C. So when this main method will execute, A and B will get value 6 each, but C will get the value 0. Then we are printing the value of ABC, that is 6 and 0. Now we will see the result. First we will create object of the class. Then through the object we can run the main method. I have executed another program here. Yes, we need to execute class R. So we will create object of class R. Now through the object, we can run main also and we can run big also. Here, object provides both the facility. When we run big method, let us see how to execute big. Big method receives two arguments x and y. When we pass two arguments 8 and 6 here, then it will show the return value 8, which is larger. And here the result will not be shown in terminal window because it is a return type function. See once more this class. Here we are not using void. This function is return type. So whenever we execute the method, result will not be shown on the terminal window. Instead, it will be shown in a box. Now we will run the same method big with some other values. Now 2 and 9 is entered. Larger value is 9 in this case. But when we enter both values same, in that case function is designed to return 0. So here you can see return value is 0.0. Now we can run main also. So when we execute main method, see the explanation of this main method. In the main method we have three print statements A, B and C, where A, B, C stores the value returned by function big while passing the arguments 6, 5, 5, 6 and 6, 6. So in first case when 6, 5 was passed, then A had received 6.0, which is the larger of these two. In the second statement, when 5, 6 are passed as argument, then B receives the larger of again 5, 6, that is 6.0. But in third case, when both arguments are same, in that case function was designed to return 0 because all the ifs are fail. So in that case return value was 0. So C had stored 0. That is why we are watching this result 0.0. So with this program you have seen that we can design more than one return statement together. But out of these return statements, only one of them can execute at a time. So last 3 points of return statement, features of return statement I have explained. Now the first 3 points. It is applied at the end of a method. No statement in the method can be executed after return, and it can return a single value. So this I am going to explain with another example. You can see one program is designed here. Return is used in the end of the method. So you can see here it is used. But if we write any statement after return statement like here, then it will give error. So we should not write any statement after the return statement, because return statement terminates the method, control goes out of the method block. So writing any statement outside after the return statement does not has any sense. So it will become unreachable. So during compilation time it will give error message. Like you can see, it is showing unreachable statement. So whenever you use return type function, so always make sure that return statement should be used in the end of the function, and please don't write any statement after the return statement, otherwise you will face error message like this. Third point was, we can return only a single value from a method. This point. So in all the previous programs you have seen, I have used single value in the return statement. Like here, I had told you return statement can be used in two ways. After return we can keep the value inside bracket also, then also it will work. But we can return only a single value. Suppose you are going to return two values separated with comma, r and x. So in that case it will give error, it will not compile. So always use single value in a return statement. I think features of return statement should be clear to you now. I have shown it with practical examples. Now the kinds of variables we are going to study. There are two kinds of variables in Java: local variables and global variables. Global variables are again divided into two categories: instance variables and class or static variables. So first we will see the definition of these variables. Local variables are those variables that are declared within the body of a method and are available only within that method. Local variables are not initialized automatically. The scope of local variables is within the block only. Instance variables are those defined inside a class but not in any methods in this class. This is the difference between local and instance. Local variables are declared inside a method block, but instance variables are declared outside a method block. There is different version of this variable for each object of the class. Means when you create many objects of the same class, then all the objects may have different values for instance variables. Instance variables are accessible throughout the class. Since instance variables are declared inside the class but outside the method. So if the class has many methods, so these variables can be used in all the methods of the same class. Now the third type of variable is class variable or static variables. Class variables are those defined inside a class but not in any methods in this class, just like instance variables. They are also declared inside a class but outside the method. There is only one version of this variable for each object of the class. This is the difference between class variable and instance variable. When we create many objects of the same class, then all the objects will share the same value of class variable. But in case of instance variable, different objects can have different value for instance variable. And in case of class variables, different objects will share the same value of static or class variable. Last point is similar to the instance variable. Class variables are also accessible throughout the class, and class variables are defined with the keyword static in the beginning. Static keyword used while declaring the variable. Now first we will see the example here. How to declare these variables. With this example it will become clear to you. These are the global variables A and B. Global variables come in two categories: instance variable and class variables. So both these variables, instance variables and class variables, they are declared inside the class but outside the method. So their place of declaration is same, but this static keyword is used before the declaration of static variables. So because of this static keyword, B has become class variable or static variable, and when static is not used, then A will behave as instance variables. Now whenever we declare global variables inside a class and outside a method, these variables are initialized with the default value of their data type. So A is automatically initialized with 0 because 0 is the default value for int. Similarly, B is also initialized with 0, which is the default value of B. Now we have one method main. S is declared integer type and S is initialized with 1. So when a variable is declared inside a method block, it is known as local variable. So here S is local variable, but the scope of local variable is the method block only. So S can be used only in this method void main. If the class has more methods, then value of S cannot be used in other methods. But the value of A and B can be used throughout the class because they are global variables. So here you can see S is initialized with 1. Suppose we don't initialize, and if we print the value of S, in that case it will give error. See the error here. You can see the error message, variable S might not have been initialized. It means while using the value of S, it must be initialized because it is a local variable. But in case of global variables, A and B are not initialized by us, then also it will not give error because the system will automatically initialize the default value in A and B, that is 0. So if we run this program, value of A will be 0, value of B will be 0 and S will be 1. Now let us see the result. First we need to create object to run this method. So you can see instance variables a and b are initialized with 0 and local variable has value 1. So I hope instance variable, class variable, its declaration will be clear where to declare. But one point is difficult to understand here. This line is very important to understand the difference between instance variable and class variable. There is different version of this variable for each object of the class. And here in the class variable, there is only one version of this variable for each object of the class. To explain this, I have designed one more program. Please see this program carefully, otherwise it will become difficult to understand. Meaning of this line is when we create many objects of the same class, then in case of instance variables, each object can have different value for instance variables. But each object will share the same value of a static variable. Lifetime of a variable is the time when the variable exists. Local variables exist as long as the containing method is running. It means till the method block is running, the value of local variable will be there in the memory. When the method block will terminate, then the space occupied by that variable will also released. Instance and class variables exist as long as the object of the class exists. Now the default value of the variables. When we declare the global variables, default value of integer type is 0, byte short int long. For double type, that is float and double real number is 0.0. For boolean it is false. For character type and string type, the default value is null. So when we declare instance variable or static variable of these types, then they will be initialized with these default values. Now the example. I have designed one program to explain the difference between instance variable and class variable. See, A is instance variable and count is static variable. Because of this keyword static, both will be initialized with default value 0 because they are global variables. Void get count, we have one function. It will update the value of count by 1 and the updated value will be stored in A. So simple statement, increment count and store the result in A. Give count another function. Here we are printing the value of A and value of count. Now we have main method. In the main method, first we are creating three objects, OB1, OB2 and OB3. For creating the object, first we need to write the class name, then space object name equal to new keyword, then again class name. So these three variables OB1, OB2, OB3 belongs to same type, same class. Now first three statements getCount method is called through the object ob1, ob2 and ob3. See what is mentioned in getCount. When getCount is executed, first the right side will run, so count will update. In the beginning count is 0, which is the default value, so it will become 1 when first time it is executed. In the beginning a was 0, but after the execution of plus plus count, a will also store 1. So when first time get count is called, count will become 1, a will become 1. But remember, this get count is called through the object ob1. It means for object ob1, value of a is 1, value of count is 1. Now we are again calling get count, but this time through second object ob2. As I have told you, count is a static variable, so all the objects will share the same value of count. When we are calling the get count through second object ob2, now again this block will run plus plus count. Previous value of count was 1. Since it is shared by all the object, for object 1 it was 1, but this time we are calling get count through object 2. So count will update, count will become 2, and the same value 2 will be shared among both the objects ob1 and ob2. Now 2 will be stored in a, but this variable a is instance variable and this belongs to object 2. So for object 2, value of a will be 2, but in case of previous statement, for object ob1, value of a was 1. So we have seen after these two statements are executed, value of count will become 2 and it will be shared between both the objects ob1 and ob2, but the value of a will be 1 for ob1 and value of a will be 2 for ob2. Now when third time we are calling get count through the object 3, in this case previous value of count was 2, that was shared among all the objects. So after one more update, count will become 3 and all the objects ob1, ob2 and ob3 will share the same value 3. But value of a will become 3 for third object ob3. So after these three statements, value of count will become 3 and 3 will be shared among all the objects ob1, 2 and 3. But for object ob1, ob2 and ob3, value of a will be 1, 2 and 3. So instance variable will have different values of a, that is 1, 2 and 3, and count will be shared among all the objects. Now we are printing the value of a and b by calling give count method through the object ob1, ob2 and ob3. So when give count is called, it will print the value of a and value of count. But it is called through three different objects ob1, 2 and 3. So just now I have explained for ob1, ob2 and ob3 value of a will be different, that is 1, 2 and 3. But the value of count will be same for all the three objects. Now if we run the program, You can see value of A is different for all the three objects. It is 1, 2 and 3, but the value of count is 3, which is shared among all the objects. So this is the difference between instance variable and static variable. Now, invoking a function. Invoking is nothing but calling a function. The process of using a function in a program is referred as calling or invoking. There are two types of functions: instance function, static function. An instance function can use instance variables, class variables, and local variables of its block. For calling an instance method from another instance method, creation of object is not required. But in case of static method can use only static data members or static variables and static component elements of its block. For calling a non-static method from static method, creation of object is required. So these 2 points we are going to study with the given program. Let us open this class R. Or we will see simple example here. Class A has two methods, cube and main. So when we are watching these two methods, we have not used static anywhere. So both are instance methods because static keyword is missing. So for calling one instance method from another instance method, it means we are calling cube method, which is an instance method or non-static method, and it is called through another method void main, which is also a non-static method. So for calling a non-static method from another non-static method, creation of object is not compulsory. So you can see it is called without any problem, without any error. But suppose we use static here. Now main method has become static. Now this time we are calling a non-static method cube inside a static method main. So if we call this method without creation of object, it will not compile. Now check it. Now it is showing error message. You can read the error message. Non-static method cube cannot be referenced from a static context. Means non-static method cannot be called from static method. So what is the solution for that? We need to create object here. For creating object, we need to write class name A, object name OB equal to new class name. After that, for calling, we need to call the method through the object. So this is statement. Through the object we have to call it. Object is already created here, OB. So OB dot cube. Now cube is called through the object. So always remember, when we call non-static method inside static method, then creation of object is required, like here I have done. I hope you would have understood it. So that is the end of today's session. I hope you would have understood all the things, that is features of return statement, kinds of variables, and invoking a function. Revise all these topics. In the next video we will cover some more topics like call by value, pass by value. Till then, take care.